Hi, I'm Tara, and welcome to Let's Do Books. This week I'm joined by author Charley Clarke. Her debut novel, Always a Love Song, is a celebrity small-town romance, and it's out everywhere from Ilva Publishing. Authors are readers too, so I'm excited to hear about the lesfic that she loves. Welcome, Charley.
Thank you, Tara.
So, you have managed the really hard task of narrowing down your favorite lesfic books for us. Is there anything in particular that makes these ones stand out for you?
That's a good question. So it was hard to narrow them down. Originally my list was more contemporary romance, which is what I really, really love to read because it's fast and it's cute and I don't know, I just love it. But I tried to grab sort of a cross genre stuff. So I also really love fantasy, and I put some fantasy and sci-fi in there, and I think, probably I really like books that are character driven, so I would say all of these are really character driven, I think.
All right. So, what is your first book?
All right, the first one is Kiss the Girl by Melissa Braden. I'm pretty sure we all love Melissa Braden. I've read a bunch of hers, but this was the first one I've read by her, and for some reason it just keeps staying at the top of the list. I think she's just a really talented writer, and she's really great at secondary characters and dialogue. I love her dialogue. So Kiss the Girl is about Brooklyn Campbell and Jessica Lennox, and they're both advertising. They're both in advertising, and Brooklyn has a small company and Jessica has a multi-million-dollar company, and they end up competing for the same client, I guess. But before they find out they're competing for the same client, they have this meet cute, and it's very, I don't know, it's just very rom-com-y, and I really love workplace rivalries too. So it's it's been a little while since I read it, so it's hard to give you the whole synopsis. But it takes place in New York, and New York is almost a character too, which I love. So yeah, it's just a really nice read, and there's some also really poignant storylines. Like Brooklyn is, I think she. Have you read it?
Oh yeah, this is one of my favorites. Yeah. I adore this book.
Is she? She's looking for her birth mother, right? Or like her birth mother contacts her?
Yeah, she was given up for adoption when she was a baby, and her birth mother contacts her. And she has to figure out what to do with that because she was never actually adopted.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's been a little while since I read it. I think Melissa Braden's books really kind of get to me because they do have the sweet romance, but then on top of it, the characters are dealing with things like your birth mother contacting you and trying to get this really big ad deal. So I just really love the way that Braden weaves both of those together.
And it has a phenomenal first kiss. I think it's one of the best.
I need to go back and reread it now.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Actually, so do I. It's probably been about a year. So, what is your next book?
My next book is The Cybernetic Tea Shop by Meredith Katz. It's about Clara, this is a sci-fi book. It's a novella, so it's pretty short. And it's set in this time where we have created AI robots, I guess. And Clara is a technician, and she meets Sal, who is a robot, and she's sentient and all that stuff. But after she was created, her kind of robot was declared illegal. And she still works at this tea shop that the person who built her ran. But the person who built her is dead now, and she's just been kind of chilling, like being illegal, but running this tea shop, and she doesn't, what do you do with your life with that when that happens? And Clara meets her at the tea shop, and it's a really short read. I think I read it in like an hour and a half, and I read it I think last year around Christmas, and it was just super warm and kind of it's kind of a cuddly read. And Sal, because she is an AI, basically is asexual, so there's ace rep there, and I really appreciated that. And it's just really a cute thing. I was trying to narrow these down last night, and I have it ebook. I read most of these on ebook, but I was like, oh, maybe I should get this one on paperback just so I can have it and reread it when I can, you know?
I haven't read that one before, but that sounds so lovely, and I think I might need to push that up my list.
If you do, I hope you enjoy it.
Thank you for being an awesome listener and supporting Tilt, the channel that brings you all the podcasts you want to hear. You're listening to Tilt. Find more podcasts on thelesbiantalkshow.com.
So what is your third book?
My third book is called Run in the Blood. It's by A.E. Ross. This is a fantasy book, and it's not strictly a romance, but there is romance in it. I'm a really big fantasy fan, and I try to read more. I mean, fantasy's traditionally pretty white and male and straight. So I try to branch out, and I try to find fantasy that's not pushing the boundaries, but being more inclusive. And I found this through NetGalley, I think. And then I liked it so much that I bought a copy, bought the paperback copy later when it came out. So it's got three main characters. One, I think you say it Aela. It's Aela. So, you know, fancy names.
Mm-hmm.
And she's basically a pirate. And she has kind of a past, and it comes back, and the king uses her past to blackmail her into going on a monster hunt, basically. It's dragons. And then Dell, he's one of the characters who accompanies her on this hunt. And then there's Bryn, who's a merchant's daughter, who gets betrothed to a prince she doesn't know. So all of their stories kind of intersect, and Ayla and Bryn have a past, and they all get separated, and then Bryn and Ayla end up coming back together, and it's a really kind of lovely story where, because you think that they were torn apart, they were separated, and then they come back together, and it's like, oh, they're together again, and like, I don't know, it's very cute, and there are dragons, and I don't know, how can you go wrong with dragons and romance, right?
I don't think you can.
I agree.
That sounds lovely. So what is your next pick?
My next pick is It's Not a Date by Heather Blackmore. This is about Cade and Jen. And Cade is a tech entrepreneur and investor. And then Jen, she's CEO of Creative Care, which is kind of an app that tries to pair people who need care for their elderly or sick relatives with private care workers. And one of the reasons she's passionate about that is because her grandmother, she's the sole caregiver for her grandmother who has dementia. And then Cade comes in and she invests in the company and like being on the board or something. Honestly, sometimes the business stuff, I'm a little like, oh, I don't understand what's happening, but that's okay. I'll go with it.
Yeah.
But they're really different people, but there's a chemistry there. And again, what I like is that they both have their own issues. So Cade has this trauma from her youth that she's really a stickler for time, and she hates when people are late and stuff. And she's got all these clocks in one of her rooms in her house, which is kind of neat. And then Jen is taking care of her grandmother and trying to figure out how to run her company and everything. And what I really appreciated about this book was a lot of the angst or conflict comes from the characters just being different people. Like sometimes it's not always about miscommunication. It's like they're just coming from very different viewpoints, and you could see both of their viewpoints. And then, you know, a chapter or two later, they come around, they're like, hey, let's talk this out. And I really just appreciated that it's a very adult relationship in terms of the communication, and they help each other be better without trying to change the other one, which I think is very cool. And then I remember this being kind of a 4-star read for me, and I was like, oh, this is really good. I really like this. And then the end scene, I like swooned.
Oh, really?
So I just really appreciated those very character driven, and the basis for the relationship is very solid, I guess.
Mm-hmm. All right, that sounds pretty good. I don't think I've read that one yet, so I'll keep an eye out for it.
Cool.
And what is your last pick?
So my last one, I don't want to say I saved the best for last because they're all good, but my last one is Who'd Have Thought by G. Benson. And yeah, this has one of my favorite tropes, which is the fake relationship / marriage of convenience. And I think it was kind of one of the first lesfics I had read. I was getting into the genre, and outside of fan fiction, of course. And I just remember like looking up lesbian romance with fake relationships, and this one came up, and I like could not put it down. So it's interesting for me because it's less of a traditional romance in that only one character has a point of view. So it's all from Hayden's point of view, and she's an ER nurse, and she has school debt like we all do, and she has a family back in Florida who her mother has dementia, I believe. And so she's sending money to take care of her mom and her nephew, and then she also has to pay her school loans. So she's kind of digging herself into debt. And along comes this opportunity where she answers a Craigslist ad for someone who wants a wife. And she gets paid $200,000 to marry Samantha Thompson, who is a neurosurgeon at her hospital. So they knew each other previously, and when they met for the ad, they were kind of like, oh no, we can't do this. But they decided to do it, and it's just super cute. Sam is pretty much an ice queen, and I think you would agree with that, hopefully.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and so she's hard to get to know at first, and then Hayden is really like bubbly and outgoing, and what really connected with me the first time I read this was Hayden's voice. I just thought G. Benson did such a good job of making it unique and making her a fully fleshed character, and she kind of not wears Samantha down, but they get to know each other better. And I think a lot of what I like about fake relationships is there is that period of getting to know one another. It's not an instant relationship. So I like when the relationships are built up and you can kind of see it as a reader. And then you get a little bit ahead of the character and you're like, hey, just FYI, you're in love with each other. Just FYI. So yeah, there's a lot to love about Who'd Have Thought, and I think I've read it like 3 times now. I might have to go read it again.
It's a really, really cute one. That one has a lot of stuff that I like as well. So yeah, I can also recommend that one to people. So, Charley, where can people find you online if they want to connect with you?
Oh, they can find me on Twitter at Charley C. Writer. Yeah, that's right. Oh my gosh, I haven't looked up my website in so long. I need to update it. But my website is charleyclarkewriter.com. And then if you want to email me, it's charleyclarkewriter@outlook.com.
That is all for this episode. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm Tara, and you've been listening to Let's Do Books. You can email me at tara@thelesbianreview.com with your questions or comments. If you're an author who's interested in joining me on the show to talk about the lesfic you love or the trends that have you interested, please let me know. If you've enjoyed this episode, please check out the show notes where you'll find a Patreon link for Tilt, or visit patreon.com/thelesbiantalkshow. Our patrons get exclusive content like bonus podcasts that no one else gets access to. To find this and many other great shows, all you need to do is search for Tilt, spelled TLT, on iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher, or Spotify.